And we are live. Welcome to the process. It is Friday, February 23rd. I am Josh Engleman here to break down for DraftKings a 6-game NBA slate. Sorry to the FanDuel peeps, but you're only getting the DraftKings side. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Hope everybody enjoyed their first night back. I know the boss man himself, Tom Kennedy, certainly enjoyed his first night back off of the All-Star break. Picked up the dub on DraftKings. Hundy K, nice to see. I finished 11th. I was tied, at least, with the highest finishing Keontae George lineup, which was kind of a bummer. Would have preferred to have a little bit more there, or from a fantasy perspective, at least, not more of Keontae George. Yeah, it was, interesting slate, I guess. We hopped on playback yesterday for an hour and change after the show. Gave out a losing parlay, that's for sure. I know at least my piece of it was losing. But we talked it out. We chopped it up over some live games. We're going to be doing that basically every day now after Live Before Lock. So if you want to join us and watch a little basketball and, I don't know, talk all things betting and pick'em and DFS, you can come join us on playback. It'll be a good time. How much Kuzma did I have? I honestly don't know. But if I had to guess, like 8%. I had a lot more in my second to last run. Not that it changes anything. I could look quickly. I think it was like 8%. Yeah, S&P, not happening. I talked too much yesterday. Today's long as well. I'm using every bit of my life to not do that. I'm going to play that slate, but I don't want to talk about it to start my day. All right, let's see. How much Kuzma did I have? It wasn't much, but there was a stretch where I thought I had way more. I had 14%. I like them all day. At that low ownership number, at least. All right, let's see. What else we got going on in here? Oh, Zach, congrats, man. It's a good way to pick up a dub. Yeah, Larry, at least Garland salvaged. While I was trying to watch him, he was atrocious. Somehow finished with 40.5 fantasy points, which is just bonkers to think about. So that could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. Oh, well, what are we going to do? So, yeah, a weird slate today. All 10 games are on FanDuel. 6-game main slate on DraftKings, and then another 4-gamer at night. I'm excited for that from a playing standpoint. From a content standpoint, it's a little annoying, but I'm just not touching FanDuel today. So there will be no FanDuel crunch in the morning. I will only be hitting these 6 games to start the day. So apologies, but you only get me till Washington OKC. Ooh, I almost took a sip of that without you guys. That's not what we want to do. Let's get started. Let's break it all down. Once again, shout out to Tom. Actually, let's pull it up here. Shout out to Tom. Let's right here is where we've got Tom's 100K winner from last night. Garland, Dosunmu, Mathurin, Herb Jones, Kyle Kuzma, Doncic, Taylor Hendricks, and CJ McCollum. Looks good. Swapped over to Taylor Hendricks, who picked up the start. It was the only thing I got right yesterday from starting lineups. They didn't go to McBuckets. There was another starting lineup one that I got wrong, but I did get the Taylor Hendricks one right once we saw it. Yeah, that's a great lineup from Tom. It's good to see. That value for Taylor Hendricks really helps to open things up a little bit. And he did just what you needed him to do. 25.5 fantasy, 25 and a quarter at 3,100. That'll work. So shout out to Tom. You can see it there. Tom in first. Boy Jorge in seventh. And then good old Josh hanging out here in 11th, chopping it up. But for now, folks, let's do this. Cheers, everybody. Grab your coffees. It's Friday. We're closing out the week already, which is great because I am incredibly tired. So, cheers. So good. All righty. First game up. Yeah, S&P. So it's weird because we talked about that on the deeper dive where it was just like, I figure Suggs is going to get Mitchell. I like Garland as this pivoty type dude that not as many people were getting to. Then Mitchell goes out. Everybody jams Garland. And then in my mind, I remember thinking, well, now he's just going to get that shitty defensive matchup that I didn't want. And kind of started off like that. Wasn't great. Was not great in any way. For now, though, Toronto Raptors, 6.5-point dogs in Atlanta, 244 total. Now, Toronto played yesterday. We will not be making any changes to the Toronto Raptors rotation for today. Just not going to be all that useful. They did run a pretty firm 9-man rotation. You got Nwora, Boucher, McDaniels, and DJ Carton coming in for the end of the game, but they were running 9 guys before that. It's about how I have it projected, so I don't have much really that I want to change. So we're going to keep this one as is. Although I do feel like I want to bump up Gary Trent a minute. So let's see if we can at least massage this slightly. There's not much else. How much did Grady Dick play? 16. $34 for Barrett, 36 for Barnes. Maybe that should be 35 for Barnes. Got to remember, with this size slate, things are going to be a little bit different. Olynyk played 18. Bruce Brown played 25. I mean, I really do feel pretty comfortable with what I have in here. So we'll hold on Toronto, and now we'll hop over to Atlanta. Now, Atlanta is a very different team for today because Clint Capella is back. Onyeka Okongwu is out for the foreseeable future. And then everybody else that's normally in is in. Do I have to move some times around for games? Do I have that incorrect right now? I do that from time to time because they move over. They flex games that I don't notice. All right, Toronto is 7:30. Cleveland is 7:30. Washington is 8. Phoenix is 8. Clippers, Memphis is 8. Miami, New Orleans is 8. It originally was 10. So let's get the Miami, New Orleans game in. And then Milwaukee, Minnesota gets moved back to 10. Now, let's get that organized quickly. Thanks for that shout out, Hiker Willie. We would have figured it out eventually. All right, perfect. So we got that problem fixed. Easy stuff. So Atlanta, I'm going to reproject it just because they've been kind of weird as of late. But most of this should be pretty easy. I think we're going to get 37 out of Trey. I think we're going to get 36 out of DeJounte. I can't imagine Clint Capella is just coming out and playing a ton. 25 feels about right. He's missed the previous 6 games and then obviously had the break. And then I think we get Bruno Fernando for, like relatively standard backup run, maybe something like 15. And then against Toronto, you could do Jalen Johnson for sure. So let's get Jalen Johnson in there for 36. We get Sadiq Bey for 33. We get DeAndre Hunter for 23. Bogdanovich for 28. And then 7 to Garrison Matthews. Easy stuff here. I assume I don't really have to touch Clint Capella's rates. The only interesting part about Clint Capella today will probably be his price. I assume we don't have a prop. No, we do have Trey at 24.5 points. I am way high on that number. But let's take a look at Atlanta rates quickly. Let's say Bogdanovich, DeJounte, Trey, Hunter, Bey, Johnson. And we'll say at least 4 of those guys on at any time. DeJounte, 23.5% usage rate. Trey is at 28, so I can bring that down a notch. Bey is at 15.75. Jalen Johnson is at 17.5. Clint Capella is right over the 16 mark. And then Hunter's not going to have the biggest sample, but 732 minutes, 18.5% usage rate. Is Bogdanovich the one that's too high? Yeah, a little bit too high. Bring him down. And I do want to see the assist rate for these guys. Trey is good. DeJounte, around 7 assists per 100 possessions. Okay there. Bogdanovich gets a bit of a cut. And then finally, Clint Capella rebounding rate doesn't have to move. But I'm still a little heavy on Trae Young's points prop. So that has me wanting to bring him down a minute. DeJounte's should be around 23. His is a little light, oddly enough. So we'll look at it like this. Do we think Hunter starts today? What's the prompt there, S&P? You think they're just going to, like, were they leading to that? And I didn't look anything out? I assume it continues to be Bey, but I don't know. Opinions on the Dallas trade? Same opinion I had 7 games ago. They gave up too much. Now that's kind of where I stand. PJ Washington played well, though, yesterday. First time in a while. Very negative EPMs prior to that. But no, I mean, It was still a horrific set of deals for Dallas. My least favorite team on the deadline, I believe. S&P, good shout. I don't know how I'm missing that. 28. Although hard to read into the one from the 14th. Yeah, I probably need to give him a couple extra minutes. I'm going to take him up to 26. Because I don't totally trust it. I appreciate you bringing that up. Let's see what they look like here. So for Toronto, nothing amazing here on the Raptors side. It's just going to be a little bit of everything. I'll probably like Gary Trent the most. Quickly is there at 6,900 as well. Jakob Poeltl's okay. Barrett's okay. Barnes is okay. I would have expected something from Toronto to look a little bit better just because of this matchup against Atlanta, with the Hawks being 29th in defensive rating, 5th in pace. The Atlanta side, yeah, we like the Atlanta side quite a bit more. I really like DeJounte Murray at 7,500. Really like, I like Jalen Johnson at 7,300. I like Trey. I like Bogdanovich. But Murray, Jalen Johnson, Trae Young. 3 of those guys look really good. Let's see. What do you need out of them? 44, 43, 53, 141. 141 fantasy points is the goal. 1.3 fantasy points per minute in the aggregate. Ooh, that's a big number. They can get there, though. With an average Trae Young day. All right. Yeah, we definitely like the Atlanta side of this one better than the Toronto side. With Murray, I think, being my priority. Jalen Johnson second, Trae Young third. I like that first game in a weird way. Very curious to see what the ownership looks like. Okay. Cleveland and Philly. Now, both of these teams are on a back-to-back. I think we're all of the assumption that Donovan Mitchell will play today. How many minutes did we end up getting out of Garland? 37. Okay. Mobley played 34. Well, let's get Donovan Mitchell in for 35. And let's start cutting some of this playing time. That only gets me to 253. We'll bring Niang down as well. Allen stays. Mobley stays. Strus comes down a minute. We're still 11 north. Is Sam Merrill just going to be out of the rotation? We need to cut 10 minutes from here. So let's cut Wade down a little bit further. We're going to cut Okoro down another minute. I'm going to cut LeVert down another minute. And then I'm just going to go 7 and 7 to Wade and Merrill as the only way to make it work. Unfortunately, we also have to grab rates since, well, you know, at least we could leave Philly. All right, Cleveland. Let's get LeVert, Mitchell, Allen, Garland. Mobley, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say Strus is 6. At least 4 of those dudes on. That gets us a Donovan Mitchell usage rate of 30.5. Strus at 14. I won't go that low, but interesting to see. Jared Allen at 17.5. That makes sense. I bumped him a half point yesterday. Mobley at 18.5. Garland at 24. I could pull Okoro's rates. That doesn't really matter. And then LeVert, 20.5. Nobody else's rate should matter there. We look at assist rates. Mitchell's at about 7.25 assists per 100 possessions. Garland is at 8.7. No one else should really matter here. So the only other thing I want to look at is rebounds for Mobley and Allen. Allen is right around 10. And then Mobley is right around 12. So let's see how we look there on Cleveland. For Philly, I mean, I think Philly is a really problematic team to try to project on this back-to-back. I would guess they sit Batum, but they don't have to sit Batum. Melton is back. We don't really know how that's going to work out. So this is just all kind of gross for Philadelphia. So let's start it off with Maxey in for 37. We get Paul Reed in for 27. We get Mo Bamba in for 12. I wonder who they're going to start. They'll probably bring Melton off the bench. I think we continue to get, 33 minutes out of Buddy Hield. What did Oubre play last night? 33. Okay. We'll go 27. Oh. Good looking out. My muscle memory is just so bad right now. By the end of next week, I'll be back to normal. There we go. All right. Assuming Batum can just start and play a minutes limit like he did yesterday. He played 18. I'm going to give him 20. We get Tobias Harris out there. He played 26.5. I mean, 32 has to be a minimum. It takes me to 208. I assume we're going to get Kyle Lowry again for everything we thought of yesterday. Unless he got a concussion. That leaves me 16 minutes for probably KJ Martin. I think Cam Payne is about to see the end of this rotation as well. 16 for KJ Martin feels heavy, but 14 for KJ Martin does not. So, I think we can go with rates like that for Philly. I'm also going to pull Philly rates. Since I'm only paying attention to 6 games today, I will take at least a little bit of an extra second. So we're going to say Joel Embiid off. And then we want Harris. Nope. Well, Buddy Hield works. Where does that name go? Oubre, Melton, Maxey. Man, this team is really just like an uninteresting team to search for in this scenario. I guess we'll put Batum on. And I'm going to say I want at least 3 of that list on the floor. Gets me 500 minutes of Maxey, 28.5% usage rate. Perfect. Toby's at 23.5. We'll bump that up a little bit. Paul Reed at 15. Oubre at 18, which I think is kind of interesting. Buddy Hield's played 130 minutes in this scenario, 23% usage rate. Let's just bump that up to 22 and see what that does. Now we could look at the assist rate. Maxey's doesn't move. Tobias Harris does get that bump. Do I really need to move Maxi's rebounding rate? Is that a thing? No. And it's not a thing for Tobias Harris either. I think we look good here. Actually, do I want to... Buddy Hield's assist rate bumps up a bit. I don't want to go too crazy, but I'll give him a little bit of little bit of love. So I think we're okay there. Let's see what this game looks like. Now, it shouldn't look good. We got to remember, this is Cleveland, Philly. Great defense for Cleveland. Not great offense for Philly. So for the Cavs, I'm going to go right back to Darius Garland. But as you can see, he's already up to 6,300. That's a $400 increase just off of yesterday. We all saw that coming. Mobley's at 7K. Jared Allen's at 7,100. At least you get the power forward eligibility for Mobley. For me, it's going to be basically the same as I had yesterday. Garland, Mobley, Allen. I think Mitchell is the fourth worst thing that you can get to from Cleveland. On the Philly end, they don't look good. I think Buddy Hield looks the best. And even that's kind of not all that exciting. We've got Maxi at 25.5 points prop. We're good there. 18.5 for Toby. Paul Reed's at 8.5. I'm a little heavy there, but that's okay. We're really not going to be playing much of the Philadelphia 76ers today. That's just not how they look. Now, we can hop over here. Get games 1 and 2. Maybe. There we go. And then let's make that bigger. So that's a sort of our live look at where we stand. Boom. DeJounte Murray, Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, all plus are like all out in front of everybody else. Then you get to Garland and Mobley. But Buddy Hield, not all that highly ranked. Let's get to game 3. Another back-to-back. Phoenix and Houston. Now, I believe I saw that Bradley Beal is also out for today. We have so little to go for on most of these games. So for Phoenix, I think we just basically take what we had yesterday, take a small peek at what they actually did, and then make adjustments from there. Royce O'Neal got a little bit more run than I was anticipating. Bol got none. So I'm going to take Royce O'Neal up to 27. I'm okay with Nurk. I guess I'm going to give another minute to Durant. I already have Booker on 37. Eric Gordon played 35, which I didn't expect. At the very least, I'll take him up to 31. Grayson Allen played 36. I'm comfortable taking him to 34. Josh Okogie played 18. I'll give him another minute. Nas Little, Saban Lee, Drew Eubanks all got little chunks of playing time. So we're going to take Saban Lee to 10. Drew Eubanks to 13. And then I'll give Nas Little 8. That looks about right. Houston on the opposite side. Did I kill the music? No, I turned it down, right? Yeah, we're good. Houston on the opposite side. Same situation on a back-to-back. We don't really know anything here. Wouldn't be surprised if Fred VanVleet didn't play today. So that might be something that we want to keep an eye on. But for right now, I can't make any changes to this Houston rotation. This just has to be what we got yesterday. But keep an eye on Houston. It would not be surprising in any way for Fred VanVleet to not play this back-to-back. Now, let's evaluate this game. Phoenix. I mean, Royce O'Neal appears to be the dude. I don't know if we have a Royce O'Neal prop yet. We don't. But looks okay. Booker and Durant are the other two options, but Royce O'Neal for 4,100. I think that's going to be a really interesting play for today, and you don't even have to project him all that well. Booker and Durant might actually be better options because of salary and raw points for this size slate. Well, 4,100, small forward, power forward. I got him at 0.82 fantasy points per minute for the game, but that's a good enough value for a day like today. The other pieces you're looking at are Booker and Durant for sure. On the Houston end, Şengün, 8,500, looking good. Looking really good, actually. Do I have him over projected? We got to take a look at that. I have 21.5 real points. The prop is 19.5. I'm going to grab Houston rates. That feels... Wait, didn't I did that yesterday, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. I thought I grabbed Houston rates, but I must not have. So we're going to say VanVleet, Brooks, Jalen Green, Şengün, Jabari Smith. One, two, three, four, five. I'm going to add Amin Thompson and Cam Whitmore. We're going to say we want at least 4 of those dudes on the floor. It should be a pretty big sample. Yeah. So Şengün, 27% usage. Well, I can't move that, so I already don't feel comfortable moving his usage rate is already higher, and I'm not going lower than 32 minutes. That would be insane. Jalen Green is at 25.5. VanVleet is at 17. Jabari Smith is at 17. Dylan Brooks is at 17.5. Amin Thompson locks in at around 18.5. Cam Whitmore locks in around 21. When everybody's playing together, at least. I don't know what to do with Şengün there, though. That's tricky. Because he's played alongside these guys all year, and the usage rate is much bigger. I'm going to take a minute away from him. That works for me. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so that's going to be Şengün being what I'm guessing is interesting, at least in the long run. Assist rates don't have to move. Let's just make sure I have Şengün's rebounding rate correct. A little high on that one. But not by much. That's going to be Houston. Let's see what we see here. Yeah, like I like Şengün here. Jabari Smith and Fred VanVleet are the other two. And I thought I gave pretty pessimistic projections to some of these guys, but Şengün at the top of the list, Jabari Smith 2, Fred VanVleet 3. That's what I like, at least from Houston. And then back to Phoenix again, it's Booker, Durant, and Royce O'Neal. Now, as we add the third game to our table, it'll start to take a little bit more shape. We have Still Murray, Johnson, Young at the top, but then you get Booker and Şengün slotting into that same spot. I mean, this little range right here, Booker, Şengün, Garland, Durant, Mobley. Good luck sifting through that. Halfway there. Hit that like button. 128 of you in the door. Clippers and Memphis. Clippers are going to be the same situation. They are on a back-to-back. We're really not going to be moving these guys around too much. What did they do at center? Zubats played 29.5. So they just went small. And they could absolutely do that against Memphis. So get Amir Coffey an extra minute or two. Russ played a little bit less. Don't really see the natural spot to take a minute from him, but I can give it to Norm Powell. I have no other changes to make for the Clippers. We looked at their rates yesterday. Then we go to Memphis. Surely this is an awful experience. Memphis actually not on the back-to-back, which is helpful. No Bane, no Clark, Triple J probable, Jake LaRavia questionable, no Morant, no Scottie Pippen, and no Marcus Smart. I don't even remember who's been playing for these idiots, so I'm going to delete everything. Because it's a 6-game slate on DraftKings, we kind of got to get this one right. So Memphis's last game was actually the 3-point win against Milwaukee before the break. They started Jordan Goodwin, Zaire Williams, Santi Aldama, Vince Williams, and Trey Jamison. Now, obviously, that's not going to be happening today. That should be not surprising. Who they start today, though, is really a problematic situation. I'm going to go 28 to Santi Aldama. We're going to get 32 in for Triple J. And then we know that we can get Vince Williams in for 35. That part feels good so far. I'm guessing Jordan Goodwin starts again. So we're going to give him 26. I'm going to give Kennard 25. I think Derrick Rose plays his 15. I don't know, maybe like 24 out of Lamar Stevens, 20 out of Lamar Stevens. I'm guessing LaRavia is now ahead of somebody. I think we got to get Zaire Williams in for something pretty real. Backup center. Not Trey Jamison, I think. Is he already gone? No, he signed a two-way. Okay, so he's available then. This is a terrible team to project. Like, I don't have any confidence in who's actually playing for these guys. Gigi Jackson's probably going to get something around 24. Like, I'd like to slot that in now. I'm going to say 22 to Zaire. That still leaves me 33 more minutes. John Conchar seems like one of the first guys that are going to get that playing time. If I give him 24, that leaves me 9. Let's say it's Lamar Stevens. 9 feels low. But I don't exactly feel like there are places where I can take minutes away and be confident. This is just a really, really tricky team. I'm going to call it right here. There's no telling who they're starting. And I would guess Jake LaRavia is ahead of a couple of these guys, but I don't know who. All right, let's go to Memphis rates. And let's say, again, off is the easier one to do here. Smart off. Morant off. Bane off. I'm going to say Pippen off. That's probably everybody that I need to take off. That already limits rates in a big way. Vince Williams has a 17% usage rate in that time. I don't need to change that. Triple J is at 36%, which is just insane. What is Triple J's points prop for today? Because I'm just going to set that accordingly. It's 24.5. So there we go. We bump him up a bit, get him to 32% usage. That kind of funnels everybody else to where they're supposed to be. Any assist rate changes that need to be made here? Not really. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. We back. I'm okay with most of these rates. I don't have much else that I can say here for Memphis. So as we look at the Clippers, again, back-to-back, $5,400 Zubats looking all right. Kawhi is really your only other option that you'll feel good about. Clippers are 9.5-point favorites here, too. For Memphis, it's Triple J at 8K as the only guy that you're really stoked for. Assuming Jordan Goodwin starts, he probably looks a little bit better. And then Santi Aldama, but nothing crazy from those guys. If we add this one in, yeah, like Zubats gets to here. You get Triple J just slightly passing Trae Young, which I think is kind of interesting. This upper mid-tier looks really good today. Speaking of things that look good, no, just kidding. This doesn't look good. That would be the Washington Wizards. 15-point dogs in Oklahoma City, 241 total. Wizards on the back-to-back. OKC on a back-to-back. The interesting piece for the Wizards is that they excised Jordan Poole from the starting lineup last night. Now, I want to see what they did with rotations before I do anything else. I hope that I can figure out... Who did Washington play yesterday? They were huge dogs. Shit. They play the Clippers? No. Chat, tell me who that was. Popcorn Machine doesn't have this up, so I have to type in the codes manually. Oh, no, it's the Nuggets, right? Wait, they do have the games in. Never mind. I'm stupid. I clicked on the exact game I needed. I'm dumb, guys. Popcorn Machine had exactly what I needed them to have. So we got Koulibaly starting. We still got, very real minutes out of Jordan Poole, which is sort of what I was expecting. So I think we're going to keep in like 29 there for Poole. Koulibaly played 32. Could have closed, I guess. I'll give him 30. Keep Kispert at 25. Rashawn Holmes played very minimally. They went to a little bit more of Omer Uri. Johnny Davis got in the game yesterday. That's a thing that happened. Oh, wait, DeLon Wright's on Miami now. So we could deal with that one in a second. Not much of this really matters. We just got to make sure we have the right guys in the right spots. I actually kind of want to grab Washington rates. So if we say Tyus Jones, Kuzma, Poole, Denny, Kispert. I don't think anybody else matters there. So I want at least 3 of those guys on. That's a huge sample. Don't really have anything to change there. All right. That makes it easy. That'll work. On the OKC side. Just really don't have anything to look into for Washington there. OKC, again, on the back-to-back. They're massive favorites. Not a lot to like dig into. Jalen Williams did leave the rotation as expected. They did start to consolidate that rotation a little bit. I know that Isaiah Joe started the second half over Giddey. Let's get Kenrich Williams back into his minutes a little bit. We'll get Cason Wallace another minute. Gordon Hayward in for 18. We didn't get Biyombo at all, I guess? No, that did not happen. I am going to leave those minutes for Biyombo, though, because I think there's a time where they're going to... This would be a great time to integrate him, actually. God, thank you, S&P. I'm so forgetful hitting those buttons. I wish I could automate it. I don't think I have anything else I want to change here. I'm nervous to look at Washington because, I'm nervous to look at OKC because they play Washington. Now, I really like Kyle Kuzma today. 7,400 power forward center. I liked him yesterday. He smashed. I like going that direction again. I also like Marvin Bagley at 5,500 today. Those two are going to be highly ranked. Kuzma, for me, is quite highly ranked. I'm a little heavier on his points prop, but like not having Jordan Poole start is definitely a benefit for him. Bagley's points prop's 11.5. Okay, that it might be a little bit of an issue. We might need to play around with Marvin Bagley here. I got to take probably 2 minutes off of him. Let's try that. Still like Bagley, not nearly as much as I did before. Kyle Kuzma is my dude. Going to be one of my favorite plays of the day. And then for OKC, it's all of these starters. Because of the pace of this matchup, it is a real big issue. This is crazy. Chet, Shea, Jalen Williams, Giddey, Dort, all okay. Best option here is 100% Shea at 10-9. I have him with a preposterous projection right now, but 34 points. I guess I should probably grab OKC rates. I don't feel like I've done that in a while. These are the good days to dig in. So we want SGA, Dort, Giddey, Chet, Jalen, I'll say Case and Wallace and Isaiah Joe. I probably don't need Case and Wallace, but the ball handling matters. At least 4 of those guys on at all times. That's a 29. That's a 30% usage rate for Shea. That makes the points look way more reasonable. Chet's fine. Dort's fine. Jalen Williams is probably a little high. Josh Giddey's good. Assist rate for Shea, 8.8. All right, we're good there. Giddey at around 8.3. All right, we're good there. That should make them look a little bit more realistic. Yeah, that brings Shea down into a more reasonable range. But Chet is there as well. And then Jalen Williams. Anxious to see who takes that number 1 spot before we get to the final game. All right, Shea goes the third. We got 4 guys at -3. Murray, Holmgren, Shea, and Kuzma. But looking good for Chet and Shea. Jalen Williams not too far behind. Really like Kuz today. Final game. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Computer's being weird. I'm going to have to reboot this bad boy after this show. Miami Heat, 3.5-point dogs in New Orleans, 222 total. For Miami, Hero questionable, Jay Rich out, Duncan Robinson available, no Terry Rozier, which means we got Jimmy Butler back. So we got to delete everything that exists for this team. So we're certainly going to get some DeLon Wright. Let's get Hero out there for 34. Let's get Butler out there for 34. Let's get Bam out there for 34. We get Love backing him up. I'm going to go 28 Caleb Martin, 22 Highsmith, 27 Jaquez, 25 Duncan Robinson. Backup point guard run, DeLon Wright makes so much sense. And really, anybody can get those final 8. I'll hide them on Jovic. Perfect. Now, we do want to grab Miami rates. That actually matters. So that's going to be Butler. I'll include Rozier for this one. Bam. Oh, why would I include Rozier? He's not playing. That's so stupid. Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we want at least 4 of those dudes. That's perfect. Bam's at around 25.5% usage. Caleb Martin's around 16. Jaquez is around 15.5. Butler, only 265 minutes. Very low usage rate, which is kind of wild to think about. Tyler Hero holds. I mean, Jimmy Butler's usage rate playing alongside of a lot of these guys is like 21.5. Do we have Miami props? What is Jimmy Butler's points prop? 21.5. All right, I'm way low. Just very weird. So I'm going to give him another minute. That gets me to 19.5. I'm probably going to be low on Butler today. Hero doesn't have the prop. Bam's at 21 points. That works. Duncan Robinson's at like 13. That's way low. Looks like Duncan Robinson is probably playing a little bit more than I thought he would. Wait, that can't be right. Do I have 10 minutes too much projected? I do. I got to cut 5 minutes from something here. Oh, that's because I gave Caleb Martin 38 minutes. No wonder. Oh, yeah. Hero questionable. Totally forgot. Now we're good. And that lines up Duncan Robinson a little bit better. Now, for the Pels, this is not ideal because obviously we had no Brandon Ingram yesterday, and now we have to have Brandon Ingram in for today. So we're going to go 23 to Joval. We'll go 20 to Larry Nance. Are we going to get Zion? Is Zion going to play today? He's not, right? We're going to get Brandon Ingram in and Zion out on the back-to-back. Has Zion played a back-to-back this year? All right. Let's see. Didn't play this one. That wasn't a back-to-back. This was a back-to-back, sat the front end. Sat the back end. Just a regular off day. Did play a back-to-back right here. Brooklyn and Minnesota. Okay, so since he did play at least one back-to-back this year, I'm projecting him to play today. We get CJ in for 33. We get BI in for 34. We'll get Herb Jones in for 32. Trey Murphy gets 26. We get Alvarado in for a little bit. We get Najee Marshall in for a little bit, and then we hide 4 minutes on Jordan Hawkins. I got to grab rates. So, rates for New Orleans. Joval, CJ, Ingram, Zion, Herb, Trey Murphy. Brandon Ingram, 23% usage rate in that scenario is wild to think about. CJ is at 21.5 also in that scenario. Crazy. Herb Jones, not quite getting any usage. Joval, not quite getting any usage. Zion is at about 26.5. And then Trey Murphy is at around 18. Assist rates, Ingram can come down. CJ can come down. Zion can come down. I don't think I'm going to like much of anything here. I'm going to call it a day here on New Orleans. Let's see what we like. Hero, if he's playing at 7,200, him, Butler, and Bam are the only three things you could play from Miami, and even that doesn't look very good. On the Pels, kind of the same situation. It's Herb Jones and Zion, but nobody really looks that great. The Miami pace here is a bit of a problem. quick summary shot for Larry. Murray, Holmgren, Shea, Kuzma at the top of the list. Jalen Johnson, Jaren Jackson, and Trae Young are the next group up. That's where you want to consolidate your stuff. But for now, guys, we run a crunch. Only DraftKings for today, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Let's figure out what we like for today. What do y'all say? All right. DraftKings optimals. $270.3 optimal lineup by 0.5. Garland, Gary Trent, Herb Jones, Royce O'Neal, Chet, DeJounte Murray, Kyle Kuzma, Jaren Jackson. If you looked at that table before, not a lot. Should be very surprising when you look at that. Very balanced build. Murray, nobody made all 50. Murray was in 90%, Chet in 80%, Kuzma in 80%, Garland, Johnson, Herb Jones in the 70s, Royce O'Neal in the 60s, Gary Trent in the 50s. No one north of 8,100 made an optimal lineup in my top 50. No, SGA, Durant, Booker, Mitchell, Young, Maxey, Harden, Barnes, Leonard, Şengün, Bam Adebayo, Brandon Ingram, or Paul George. That's what today looks like, by the way. We put some randomness on it. I think that entire upper tier is just going to flatten out at like 5-6% ownership. We see Royce O'Neal be the guy that's easiest to fit in. It's very flat at the top. O'Neal, Murray, Zubats, Holmgren, Trent. It's just really flat. And you can see it at the top in salary. 12% Shea, 12% Durant, 12% Booker. Nobody really gets to Mitchell. Not surprising. A little bit more than 12% for Trae Young. Maxey's right around 12. You can't get to Harden. And then it flattens out a little bit in that Barnes, Leonard, Şengün trio. Really gross there. And then you start getting into all of the heavy ownership. DJ, I'm on everything. Strategy show, contenders, prize picks, deeper dive, playback show later tonight. Playback was a good time, but yeah, I'm on everything today. You'll catch me on every single show we do. So I hope you're watching. Strategy show with Laffy at 10 o'clock. That's all I've got for now. I have to go and make some videos. Guys, it's been great. Thank you for being here. We're going to take the weekend off, but we're back again on Monday. Hey, everybody, this was The Process.